And I am Pop Pat. No, you see, I'm Father on the screen. But you guys can call me Scott. We'll go by Scott today. That's what we'll go by. So Scott and Destiny is what's on the screen right now.
This is our semi-weekly wrestling show.
And technically, this isn't even our first episode. We did it, what was it? It's almost been a year. You realize that? And what don't make sense either, I meant to say this before we get started. What didn't make sense before was why did they decide to hit us with a copyright strike out the gate?
Yeah, it completely destroyed everything. I had to delete everything because it wasn't working.
It didn't even make any sense though if you really stop and think about it. You know what I'm saying? Not unless they don't even want their covers on the screen. Just say what we have on the screen now to say if they don't even want that, which is fine. If they don't, I can always re-upload it with the audio. It's perfectly fine. No worries. Because I can just cover that and go with it again. But what I am going to say though is with that. Not that I even think of. But who knows? You never know.
No, I know what it is.
What?
We were playing wrestling clips. We were playing their clips.
But we won't even play the video. I mean, the audio for it.
We weren't playing audio, but they're strict about that thing.
Okay. Well, they like to hit everything. Well, anyways, all right. So, let's give them a preview of what this show and what it's going to be about before we get started. That way, at least they know what they're going to get from us. Do you want to do it, or you want me to do it?
I'll do it.
Okay.
So, essentially, what it is I watch the weekly shows. I watch Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, and I basically just like write down what I want to talk about from the shows. Maybe even do like a little recap and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the main pay-per-views. But a very important aspect of our show is we are two black people. We're in a black family.
Yes.
And so race is going to pop up a lot in this podcast, so if that's something that you are vibing with, if that's something that you feel offended by, I'm sorry, but
yeah,
that's what we do. So,
well, I will definitively tell you this. So let me cut this down a little bit. I had that up kind of loud. Well, one thing I want you guys to know when we do this is that when we do Race to Rest, it's basically just saying we, and if I have you right, you're basically just saying we're going to cover things probably from a racial aspect due to the fact of wrestling has had so much racial dynamics to it since its inception. I don't even know when, technically I'm doing air quotes right now, I don't even know when we first originally got pro wrestling. Because this really technically isn't pro wrestling. This shouldn't be considered pro wrestling. The actual wrestling should be considered pro wrestling, but they consider it amateur wrestling.
Yeah, well, the actual like sports entertainment, pro wrestling. Well, we have the territories.
Yeah.
And then
What, probably the 50s, the 60s, do you think, when it started?
Yeah, because
I have to dive into that one day, see how it got started.
Newer wrestling fans who just are now getting to WWE, but guys probably don't know about like the territories.
Mm-hmm.
But before WWE or WWF at the time, there were wrestling for specific like territories, for specific states in the United States specifically.
Right.
Like Georgia had one, Florida had one, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Vince McMahon ended up buying a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that. I did. Now, I didn't need the full story because I did know what you're talking about. I knew he bought up a bunch.
Oh, this is more for just.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying. I wonder when it got started. Just a quick thought. But yes. What are the topics that you want to cover on our inaugural? And I honestly, you literally just cut your microphone on, so I may not even use the intro. But it's on now. I'm gonna make sure we're both on at all times. I have that covered. But what do we want to discover? What do you want to discuss on the very first episode? I want to get chill and get comfortable. So let's talk about this thing.
Well, I'm a women's wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
I am. I don't just watch women's wrestling, but I do consume it primarily.
Mm-hmm.
And recently, I'd say a couple months ago, WWE introduced the women's intercontinental title.
Oh, pause before you say that too. I know that we probably confuse people on the screen. We're going to get to the actual preview of the Saturday Night Main Event for tomorrow night's episode later in the show. That's how we're going to be our main topic. I don't want to confuse the audience. I didn't even think about that. That's why it's on the screen. We will cover the Saturday Night Main Event and our thoughts on it. It may be not even from a racial aspect. We'll just cover what we think about it.
Yeah.
But I did want to say that first so we don't confuse the audience. But yeah, go ahead. Continue.
Well, the women's U.S. title and the women's IC title was introduced a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I now see that probably was a mistake.
Why do you say that?
Because WWE is not in the place of accepting women's wrestling to properly have mid-card titles that are treated well.
You don't think so, huh?
No, and I kind of realized that with the most recent releases and how for every one male that was released, 5 women would go with him.
So you thinking that has to do about gender then? When it comes
I'm not
to
saying that they were specifically releasing on gender specifically,
Mm-hmm.
or they were like, we're gonna just release a bunch of women. But it is interesting to give us mid-card women's titles and then release the mid-card.
What, they didn't release everyone from the mid card, correct?
They released a good chunk, at least the popular ones,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Like Dakota Kai, gone. Shayna Baszler, gone. Sonya
Shayna's
Deville,
gone.
yes,
I
gone.
did not know Shayna Baszler was gone.
Out of that little group with Zoe Stark in them, Zoe's the only one left.
Okay, and Zoe's the one that got hurt the other
Yeah.
night, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would just so what's your point? What's your viewpoint you want to get to with the
My overarching point in it is the fact that women's wrestling and black wrestling is taking a huge back burner, being put on the back burner more than I think I've seen in a while.
So you think right now, because mind we have another host, another co-host is going to join us probably in a couple weeks when she gets better. Her viewpoint is that wrestling is becoming more and more black as we go. So you don't agree?
I don't agree. This is someone who watches all 3 brands. NXT is probably the most accepting of black wrestlers.
Okay.
But with the main roster, you have Samoans. And I just want to give like a disclaimer. I like Jay. I'm a fan of Jay. I'm a fan of Jimmy. I'm a fan of Jacob. All the Samoans, Roman.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy
Roman's
all of
not
them.
a Samoan, but go ahead.
He got Samoan blood in him. I'm going to group him in with everyone else.
He's a white man, but go ahead. Just joke. I love Roman.
I enjoy all of them. I enjoy all of their work. I root for them.
Right.
But it is interesting how whenever there should be a black person in the role, it's a Samoan instead. When Jay was rocking with all those black rappers.
Mm-hmm. So you think it? So let me make sure I understand. So you're basically saying that you think that they are using Samoans to tether on to black culture.
Yes, I think that we're using Samoans, and it's not even the Samoans' fault, but I think we're using that Samoan family as a way, as something I like to call safe blacks.
I was gonna say acceptable blacks.
Yes.
So you said safe blacks.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Acceptable black people. Still not gonna give them much. Because Jay, poor thing.
Yeah, they're doing them. They're because mind you, let's talk about it as they are black, because let's just be honest, that's the closest you're gonna get to being black people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know anyone watching this audio is gonna say y'all just want to co-opt them. No, I'm not. I promise you, I'm not. I'm just looking at how they're being treated, and mind you, too, I also know that historically, when non-black people marry black people, they throw those non-black people in the pot with them, and I think all of them have black wives.
They have a proximity. Jay has a black wife. Jimmy has a black wife, obviously.
Don't even Roman has a black wife.
Roman has a black wife. They're in proximity. I don't know who Jacob. I don't know if he's married or not.
The way he acts, I would expect he has black children.
So, like, you have a proximity to blackness. They're procreating with black women, so their children are half black. Even though they're not black themselves, they have such a proximity to it that they're almost being treated
They are.
like black people, but they're being treated above black wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
I agree. Well, they always use them as a buffer. If you think about, like, right now, I use the word tethering.
Mm-hmm.
That comes from the movie, I think it was called Get Out, with what's his name, the Jordan Peele movie.
Mm-hmm. Very good movie.
Yeah, and see, in that movie, basically all it was, those characters that was coming out from underneath, they were tethering on to those other people to replace them. And so that word has been thrown into the black lexicon. So now people use that word to say when they use that to cosplay other people.
Yes.
And so they're using Samoans to cosplay black Americans that way, or black people. That way they don't have to, in turn, I guess, give black people. Yeah, they don't have to give black people love.
It's because...
Because I wasn't gonna go there.
They're not acting like Obafemi.
Because I was gonna go there because I was gonna say Obafemi seems like he's gonna have a bigger stardom than Trick is, which to me Trick is way more entertaining. But
to me personally, when the bell rings, Oba's more entertaining to me.
You think so in the ring?
Yeah, in the ring, I would rather watch an Oba Femi match over a Trick match.
He's power, right?
Yes, yes, very, very powerful man. But when on the mic, I think Trick has a certain charm to him.
Yeah, he does.
I was just talking about Javon Evans the other day.
Yeah.
Big fan, big fan, big fan. I think he's very charismatic, and I know like typically
he's just narrow. He's so little.
I know typically with WWE they want to have bigger men be their main champions.
Right.
But my thing was, if Carmelo Hayes was the face of NXT for so long,
why can't make any
why
more
can't you put your trust in Javon Evans?
Yeah, I agree. And he's bigger, so you would think. But see, I always say what happens
He's
in
taller,
wrestling.
yeah.
Yeah, that would I always say in wrestling. What they like to do a lot of time is they give excuses. Like you say, I've heard the argument again. I'm going to bring it up that Seth Rollins is important because he's a workhorse. I'm not. I promise you. If you know us, you know I pile on Seth Rollins a lot, but it's not because of him. Seth Rollins represents what's wrong with the world, not him. Seth Rollins is a hard worker. I'm not saying he's not. Does he have a personality? Yes. Is he believable in his role? Yes. I have no issues with it. But he's like every other white guy I've ever seen. I've seen many of guys like this. I just watched them handpick guys. See, the difference between a Seth Rollins and, say, The Rock is this. Seth Rollins gets put in positions to win. The Rock had to take his positions to get there. Now, people are going to say, we have The Rock. He's at the top of the food chain. Yeah, you know how many times I had to hear stories about Vince being pissed off and stuff The Rock did on the air that he wasn't supposed to do, that he did it, and it just turned out well? Me and your mother was watching the TV show All American last night. It's about football. If you've never seen this, it's about, it was supposed to be loosely based on a real football player. But this new season, one of the scenes in there, one of the guys, the assistant coaches wanted a player to be in the game, but the head coach didn't want it. So the assistant coach basically was like, forget it. He just forced him in the game and hoped that the dude did what he's supposed to do, and it turned out well. But we shouldn't have to go to those links just to get ourselves put on. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Because you have so many talented black wrestlers, and you have even more coming up from NXT.
Yeah, I agree.
That there's no reason why they should be stifled, especially not. I feel like Samoans and black people should be able to coexist on the same brands.
I agree.
And one not be put on the pedestal over another.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I agree. I totally agree with that. I think what happens with people all the time is people think that in wrestling that the star is actually organically growing to the top. That's not how it goes. There's guys that could have probably been like, let me ask you a question. Since this is Race to Wrestling, is there a black guy that you've seen? And I'm going to name one that popped in my head first that should have been a bigger star than what he was. And you feel like the reason why he wasn't was due to racism. Do you have
plenty.
one?
I got Shelton Benjamin.
Oh,
I got Bobby Lashley. I know a lot of people probably don't like him because of his body type, but Cedric Alexander, probably one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen.
I don't know much about him.
Who else? I'd say the entire Hurt Business, to be honest with you.
Well, I was gonna go. I said Bobby Lashley. I was thinking Bobby Lashley, but honestly, you're right. I didn't even think. Let me back it up. I didn't give Shelton Benjamin enough respect when he was actually full-time just coming into wrestling. I have gone back and see, I'll be honest. I tell people all the time, the way that the world works is they're constantly in your brain and they'll condition you to think a certain way. At the time, I disrespected Shelton Benjamin. I didn't look at him as being special. I remember the time he came around the same time Brock got there, and I remember they both came from amateur wrestling. Brock got all that love, and I fell in love with Brock. But then I realized Brock, not taking away from Brock's talent, he was pushed into the forefront. Where what did you say? Shelton Benjamin, so just as talented as he was, didn't get any of that love.
To be honest with you, I never really got Brock. And I'm not even saying that because of everything that's happening right now. I've never gotten Brock. You know I've never gotten
Brock. Is like I was a Goldberg fan growing up, right?
And I wasn't a fan of Goldberg
and
either.
I get that.
So.
See, this is the difference between the two.
Ryback, wasn't a fan of him either.
Ryback is, to me, I don't like what they did with Ryback. Ryback's like Kobe Bryant to me. Whenever there is an original Michael Jordan, it tears away at Kobe because Kobe emulates Michael. So with Ryback, they wanted to make a new Goldberg. And that's what Brock didn't mess up at. They allowed Brock to be Brock Lesnar. I didn't like Brock at first, early on in wrestling. It was only when they basically made him Brock Lesnar that I actually looked at him, and it's just straight power. And I'll tell you the reason why I don't disrespect him It was the power aspect. Was his moveset limited? Yes. But what I give him, what wrestling, this is the number one key for a great wrestler to me. You tell me if you agree. This is the number one key for wrestler to me. Are you believable in and out the ring? When Brock hit you, you thought he really didn't like you. And I've even heard wrestlers say, when Brock goes at you, you got to be prepared because he's going to come with it. I appreciate wrestlers like that.
I mean, I do. I guess I have this thing with wrestlers where I hold a grudge. Because I feel I can see where your whiteness comes in and where it helps propel you to the top. And I can see that, and I see that in Brock specifically. Because I just think skin a little bit more tinted. Where would you have?
Yeah, he would have been Shelton Benjamin.
And I'm just like,
no, even better, he would have been Bobby Lashley. That's what he would, because Bobby Lashley is the black counter to Brock Lesnar.
And I'm just like, for me personally, I see, I'm going to base whether or not I'm fine with Brock. I'll never like him,
right?
But I will base whether or not I'm fine with Brock Lesnar on how they treat Obafemi when he gets pulled up.
So you're basically saying if he doesn't get the Brock Lesnar treatment, you're not with. And mind you, now I'm gonna play devil's advocate right now, all right? Because you know I am the one who sees race in everything. But I play devil's advocate right now. People are going to say to you, you can't say that statement about Obafemi not being a star of Brock was because you have Braun Strowman that never turned out into a star.
Well, Braun Strowman can stay healthy.
Well, you give me reasons, but people are going to always have their excuses. Is always going to be they're going to name people like our other co-host. What she likes to say to me all the time is that when I say that they need to stop disrespecting certain wrestlers, she will say stuff like AJ Styles is being disrespected. I said, no, AJ's gotten older now. AJ, look, this is when I say this about I brought him up is because AJ may be I always thought AJ was a very good wrestler. Did his look ever come together? Not completely. He had a really good entrance song. He has a really good move set. But let's just be honest, he doesn't have a great look, but he did great with what he was working.
To be honest with AJ, the reason I would say he's disrespected is because they put him with someone like Logan Paul at WrestleMania.
Well, I'm talking about now, but now they got him on the downside.
Yeah, because like I can completely understand him like taking like steps back from wrestling, maybe taking a couple breaks in between. I'm fine with that. When you're an older wrestler, I feel like you should have that ability.
Right.
What I don't like is you being paired with Logan Paul.
I agree.
At such a huge stage like WrestleMania.
So let's back it up and really back into race. I'm gonna go with Jay, right? You see the cover on the screen. So first and foremost, Jay, I give you your props first and foremost for honing in and figuring out. Because I always tell you, remember we talk all the time about this. I'll tell you all the time, your look is important.
Yeah.
And I give it to him. I think about the guy who came in and versus the guy he is today. Bravo, Jay. You have figured it out. And you look good when you do it. And I give him this props. So I'll say, I bring it back to this whole thing. Do you feel like, because this is what I feel like they use these Saturday Night Main events just to get more programming, but they're not putting energy into it. We all know that Jay is not going to lose to Logan Paul this weekend. But I would just say, why waste his celebrity now on Logan Paul? This is the throwaway show. This is no different than a Saturday morning as a child in the 80s watching Ric Flair wrestle Bob Monkey, somebody you've never heard of. You know what I'm saying? This is the same thing to me.
And I love Jay. I would have loved for him to have a better program. Like that program with Braun that he had, what was it? This Raw, I think?
He's had a couple good ones with Braun.
Braun, I was telling you the other day, if they really actually put effort into the Braun thing, Braun could be Jay's person.
Braun Breaker, right? Okay.
Braun Breaker could be Jay's person because every time Jay steps in the ring with Braun, it's a great match.
Yeah, well, I told you they're friends. You can tell they're friends. They work out together. Anytime I would say this, do it. Don't do Seth. Do Braun. Okay, if you want to give Seth a title run, fine. Put him up against John Cena. I don't care. I really want him. This is my thing about it, and I don't want to keep.
Anybody would be better than John Cena at this
point. I just say this to bring it back to the topic of the show, and I know we got multiple topics, so I'll leave it there with that. But I will say this about John Cena, about the racial aspect of it. You give me a black guy other than The Rock, because The Rock is grandfather, and they treat him like he's not a black man.
He's a nepo baby.
Yeah. So, but you tell me, anybody who gets that type of respect, I'll wait, because I don't know nobody black that gets that type of love like John Cena's getting right now. You can come back into the sport and get back in the lead position, and your body done broke down. Your image is ugly.
Yeah. It's never gonna happen. it's never gonna happen. The Rock is the closest you'll get, and like I said, Rock had a little bit of help.
Yeah.
So,
So what's your next topic?
I wanted to talk about the celebrity involvement in wrestling that's been happening.
You're not liking it, or you like it?
I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like it because
is it needed?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think about the first Raw on Netflix, right? This was a huge show. They were treating it basically like a pay-per-view.
It was, and they wanted to get the viewership on it. Yeah, they did.
So much celebrity involvement. And to be honest with you, I think that they could have done a lot more with it. They didn't need all the celebrities. You have a full roster. Show what your roster can do. Gunther wasn't even on there, and he was champion at the time.
Yeah.
Like, and then this whole entire thing where they're floating around ideas of Travis Scott teaming with John Cena. No one wants to see that.
No. Nobody wants to see that.
And I don't care. I saw the clip with Travis Scott where he was like, "Oh, that was electrifying." I don't care about your veins and your wants and your needs. If you're not going to go through it the way that others have gone through it, if you're not going to put in the work,
you shouldn't be.
You should not be able to step in that ring.
I agree.
Point blank. Period.
I think they used black celebrity just to draw in numbers, but it didn't make sense. Let's just be honest. And I like I said, I don't want to make it solely about race for the podcast, but I just use about nuances and thoughts and opinions that I have about the show and the content. When I look at the show, the Travis Scott thing doesn't make sense to me because it's not enough build up. He's not there in and out throughout, every other week, every couple of weeks.
He's a rapper. He probably has shows that he's going to.
I don't really care what the reason. My thing was just this. For WrestleMania this past year, fine, The Rock doesn't want to show up. It better be something that was last minute that they had to change. Because if it wasn't, and
they
you had
planned that.
Yeah, and you had, this is how you mapped it out, just say weeks ahead or even a week ahead. Someone should told you this is not going to fly because it didn't make any sense.
And it's just like, and the reason I bring up Travis Scott and like his shows and stuff like that is that's another reason why I don't think he should be there, because if you can't put all of your effort into wrestling, don't do wrestling, because wrestling is so taxing on your body.
Right.
You need to. I think about Speed, for example. Speed was in the Rumble
for
like 2 seconds.
Woo!
Right?
Didn't Braun take his head off?
Braun took his head off, and you can literally see his head snap back onto the mat. That's an untrained person.
Well, I'll give him his props for taking it.
I mean, yeah, sure, but a wrestler would know, tuck your neck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You obviously didn't train for that spot properly.
Well, I will, and I speak, and I don't know nothing about this young man, but in Speed's defense, I know who he is. I don't know much about him, but I know who he is. In his defense, I'll give him one thing. If you go back and look at that thing in the Rumble, he almost literally, a tenth of a second before they had just turned around. It may have been a timing issue. Because when I tell you Braun came in, he came in. And when I tell you, it's like he turned the quarter and it was like, he turned, boom, he got hit instantly. And it was like, whoa. So it could have been just a timing issue.
It could have been, but I just don't, well, even then, timing issues happen less with actual trained individuals because they spent all the time on those spots.
Explain all the crappy white women wrestlers who get their timing spots wrong. They get their timing off.
Well, yeah, they may get their timing wrong, but they put in the effort to be there.
I'm just picking it.
Like, yeah, maybe Roxanne got her timing wrong a couple times in that match, but she put the effort to be there.
So, reeling it back. So, you're not a fan of these people coming into wrestling, period? Or do you think they at least need to do some training if they're going to be involved in long-term stories?
Both. To be honest with you, I don't like Logan Paul being there. I don't like Travis Scott being there. I don't like any of that. But if you must, if you insist, at least train them. At least have them put in the effort. Don't have Travis Scott do a show and then pluck him off for WrestleMania. No. True.
I think my complaints about wrestling outside of race, you can go to your next topic now so you can get prepared, but I'll say this while you're doing it. Wrestling we've gotten to a point that we can evolve into something more than what we're doing. Wrestling, in my opinion, has devolved, not evolved.
Yes.
It's devolved down because I come from the '80s version of wrestling. Not as much has changed since then. Now you tell me a life where nothing changes in 40 years. That's what's killing wrestling. We're not even gonna. We'll talk about it another time. I know it's not on your list today, but we'll talk about music and their bad choices, music choices later. But I'll say this about the show: when you get to the point in your show to where every pay-per-view is damn near a throwaway until you get to WrestleMania, or I'll at least say until you get to the Rumble, because they only seem to care about the Rumble and Mania.
Elimination Chamber Mania.
You say Elimination. I feel like the Elimination Chamber is there in between to correct anything if they get something wrong with Rumble.
I think they actually do put a lot of effort into Elimination Chamber too. Because I always will enjoy a chamber match. I always will. I don't think there's ever been a time where I haven't enjoyed a chamber match. And it's a part of the road to WrestleMania. The entire road to WrestleMania has thought put into it, except for this one. This one's
horrible. But I will say you're right about. I'll take that back. I'll say that back. Everything from January to April is important. After April, it is literally let's mail it in and let's worry about WrestleMania when January roll around here.
That's what AEW does better. Like I said, there's multiple things AEW does better. AEW, they're innovative. Their music sounds better. Their pay-per-views actually have like effort put into it.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel thrown away. They use their roster properly.
Yeah.
And I'm not even a huge AEW fan, but I can admit when WWE is falling off. And the thing is, WWE is so far ahead of AEW. When AEW first hit the scene and it was really popular, WWE was forced to put out a better product because they wanted to surpass AEW, keep their place as the top.
And let me ask you a question. Do you feel like they accomplished that then?
Yes, they did.
So that's basically saying they're purposely messing over.
I think WWE, I think they only care when they feel threatened of their place.
But see,
WCW threatened their place.
Yeah, they did. They almost took them out, yeah.
AEW briefly threatened their place. They cared. TNA ain't gonna do nothing for them.
Wrestling, let me say this. Wrestling has gotten to a point to where it is so heavily controlled that you don't want, and I won't even say race for this. I'll just say this. It's so heavily controlled to the point to where they're picking, like, I'll give you an example. They're very lucky that Roman or whoever came up with the tribal chief persona, they're very lucky that they, not only one, that he was able to pull it off, but two, somebody had to come up with it.
Well, Roman's, like I said with the AEW thing, Roman saved them.
Okay, so
Roman was part of the reason why they were able to get, like, their feet under the ground when it comes to AEW.
Because of the tribal chief.
Yeah, because of the tribal chief.
Okay, so this was...
In 2020, when he came back,
that's what I'm saying.
Roman was part of the reason why they were able to stay.
So this is what I'm trying to say. So they're very lucky that Roman actually was able to fall into the tribal chief and make it work. Because for about the first 5 years previously to that, they was forcing him down our throat. And you see how the fans reject him. You have to, like, I think they knew it. I think we all knew that Roman had potential to be what he is now. But stop forcing it until it's there. If the big dog wasn't it, then the big dog ain't what it is. But stop trying to make the big dog important.
Yeah. Let people have more creative control over themselves.
I say everybody should have control over their creativity.
Because, again, another thing AEW does better. They allow their people to have creative control. A lot of the people who are at the top right now created their own characters, and TK let them go for it.
See, really, that should, to be honest with you, not to cut you off, but to be honest with you, it should be standard. You pick your persona. Now, you can tell, like, I get, management should let you know what you can and can't say. Management should let you know what the outcomes are going to be, what scenes that we're going to set up. Like, we're going to get you attacked today by the car. We're going to get you jumped. You can't control any of that. But what you should have control over is how you speak in your character. Because that's the way you're going to get the most authentic version of a person.
I think the only time that management should control characters is if they see, like, athletic potential in somebody, but they can't seem to get their character down. That's when you step in and you give them suggestions, give them pointers.
I have no problem even with suggestions. I don't have a problem with that.
Like, and you let the reins off a little bit. Let them do what they need to do in order to get over. Because there's people that are using social media on WWE's roster that are getting over from their own work because WWE won't give them anything. Karrion Kross, for example. Karrion Kross recently has started putting like promos and stuff on his social medias, and he's steadily getting over more than he's ever has. Mind you, he's been in WWE for years.
Yeah, because I ain't never paid no attention to him. Never.
He's getting over to the point where people are like, maybe he should win Money in the Bank. That's how good he's doing right now.
I don't see that, but I get your point. But I don't like him.
Well, that's fine, but my thing is, you shouldn't. Natty, people are starting to put respect into Natty that they didn't have before because of the things that she's doing outside of WWE.
Oh, cool.
Your wrestlers shouldn't. That's the thing, though. Your wrestlers shouldn't have to go outside of you.
No, they should be able to do it.
They should be able to do it on your television.
I agree.
Freely.
I agree. Totally agree. Totally agree. I tell you what. With that being said, what's your next topic? What do you got in there? I know you had a bunch of them this morning. We are already 30 minutes into the show.
Modern wrestling attempting to destroy the hierarchy.
Give me what you mean. Give it to me.
So hierarchy in wrestling, you have the main event, you have the mid card, and then you have below the mid card, lower card, undercard, right?
Right.
They're attempting to get rid of the mid card, especially with the women.
Yeah.
Especially with the women.
Well, the mid, yeah, because they do either do one or the other. They always go either top heavy and then nothing. And it used to wasn't like that.
And you can't even blame the mid card women for not getting over because they're either shelved or if they do wrestle, they wrestle in very short matches.
Yeah.
They're
throwaway matches.
Matches. They're not getting given much of a. If WWE really wanted to, they would actually put effort and energy into their mid card division, so it's not so, like you said, top heavy.
Right.
Like, yeah, we love the Rheas, we love the Biancas, we love the Naomi. Naomi is finally getting out of the mid card and actually like starting to get up there. It only took 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And matter of fact, for episode 2, I want to cover the whole Trinity thing when it comes to that. I tell you what, we're 30 minutes in, right? We got some race stuff in. Let's cover this what's name, because one thing I've learned about the world today. Pause it.
Get the part up. Go ahead.
Well, hear this. I'm gonna say this before you get it. While you getting it pulled up, the reason why I want to start talking about the main topic at the 30-minute spot is because of this. Long form content is falling off in the world. People don't want to listen to stuff anymore. So you got to get right to the point when it comes to people. So what we're going to do, we're going to get right into what the topic of the day show is going to be. It's going to be the Saturday night main event preview. And then what we'll do is we'll come right behind it, say on Monday, and we'll do a recap of what we saw from Saturday night. And we'll do a preview for Raw that was coming up, okay?
Well, there's 4 matches on the card.
That's it. That's it.
They might. I'm hoping that they confirm a women's match to make it the 5th one.
Well, it is Friday, so what
Friday,
you may get is tonight. You may get the rest of the card filled out.
But there's only 4 matches confirmed, right?
Okay, let's talk about them. Let's go start with the first one. What you got?
So the first one that was confirmed, from what I can tell, is we knew Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre would make its way on there.
So they're going again.
Yeah, they're going again. Apparently, they putting them in a steel cage.
That means that's gonna go for a long time.
Probably, and I know you don't really feel Priest like
I'm
that.
probably gonna go use the bathroom.
Me personally, I'm actually really excited for the match. It's probably out of the 4 matches, I'm really excited for 2.
But let's stay with this one. Let's stay from here. Give me your sticking points for this match. What are you looking for, and who do you think is gonna win?
Well, both Drew and Damian are heavy hitters, so I expect the match to be a heavy hitter match.
You really think Damian's a heavy?
Yes.
All right, I'll go with you.
And you don't watch the matches, so you
I
can't.
do watch Damian.
You'll watch the matches. They can't see what I'm doing right now, but you'll watch the matches like this.
I do watch Damian when he wrestles.
You don't.
I do.
You're
I don't
distracted.
always.
You're distracted whenever you watch him, so you wouldn't even know.
Go finish your point. Go finish your point, because I'm gonna tell you what I think.
All right, whatever. Anyways, I'm excited for it because I think Priest gets too much hate. Way too much hate. I think he puts on entertaining matches, and I think that when he's put in a high position, he's able to keep the crowd engaged, which is not something that a lot of people can do.
And we're talking about Damian Priest.
Yes.
Okay.
We are talking about
Damian if you
Priest.
say so.
There's never been a moment where Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre were on TV together and the crowd wasn't into it.
So who's going to win the match?
Probably Priest.
Priest needs to win.
Because Drew won the last one.
That's what I'm saying. This is like their third match isn't coming up, isn't it?
I
No, they had Mania.
Did they have Mania?
They wrestled at Mania, didn't they?
They wrestled for like 2 seconds.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But Drew won that, right?
Well, okay. So
I
with
can't even remember.
Mania,
This should tell you how much I don't really care.
with wait, no, I'm thinking of the last Mania before this one. Did they wrestle Mania? Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And Drew won that one. Drew won that one.
Did they wrestle after Mania? Didn't they wrestle since they wrestled after Mania? Haven't they?
No, I don't think they have.
Was that their first match? Was that Mania? Yeah, because that was coming off the Royal Rumble thing.
Technically.
Yeah, that's coming off the Royal. All right, this is my thing. This is mine. I have no problems. The reason I give Damien such a hard way to go is for multiple reasons. My first reason is it's going to be very superficial. It is because he has not honed his look. That outfit that he's wearing, he's not built for that. Your body's not built for that outfit. And if you want to wear that outfit, he has to get in better shape. Your love handles are hanging out of your shirt. It does not look good. And I'm not trying to pick. I'm being serious. Aesthetics matter. When you dating, when you wrestling, everything, aesthetics matter. That's my first thing. I don't care nothing about the bisexual Undertaker comment. That is what it is. This is 2020.
That's funny.
I don't know. It's 2025. It is what it is.
Because I know he is a bisexual. No, he's never came out.
But I'm just saying, that's my thing. My whole thing with this whole beef is this. It kind of highlights my biggest issue with wrestling. And I'll make it quick. On Soja, you said they're getting rid of the middle card, right?
Yeah.
The undercard. I'm stressed. My thing is wrestling is like boxing. No one wants to see people box without a title on the line. Mm-hmm. So wrestling has to understand you have a big roster. Make your belts important. So like right now, if you want to make a Saturday Night Main Event, Drew and what's name should have a title up right now. Intercontinental Champ is what's name right now. The Mysterio guy. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying.
Love you, Dom.
This has nothing to do with Dom. Dom isn't intercontinental level yet. Yet is the key word. Mm-hmm. So when I say that intercontinental belt is the step before you get to the big time. Mm-hmm. So at that spot, Drew and what's the name should at least be going for that title tonight. And if not them, somebody should be doing it. But it shouldn't be. Let me ask you this: is Dom even on the ticket?
No, nobody is. Nobody is except for Jay and John. That you have the 2 men's titles.
Okay,
the 2 main men's titles. That's all that's on the card.
Explain to me. I'm from the Attitude Era. That's my main time of wrestling. You don't get a pay-per-view without all the belts being on the line.
And that's not Dom's fault. It's the fact that
no, I'm not blaming Dom. I'm blaming the company.
They have had multiple pay-per-views where they've had titles not be on it at all.
I get it. You said Netflix, the first night of Netflix. Yeah. Gunther wasn't even on the show.
And I get you can be pressed for time with those types of shows, but something like WrestleMania, every single belt should have been on WrestleMania.
That's what you're talking about.
I'm talking about Street Profits. I'm talking about Lyra was in a tag match. She wasn't even defending her belt. Wow. The women who's holding the US belt, she wasn't on there. Wow. Who else was on the ticket?
Is Jacob wrestling tonight?
Jacob?
Yeah. I mean tomorrow night?
No.
So even the US title's not up either?
Jacob's not on there. None of the women's titles are on there. Tag titles aren't on there.
Maybe they may come back tonight and put Fatu versus like LA Knight or somebody tonight.
There's got to be a 5th match that's added to it because this is bare.
Yeah,
it's a very bare card.
Well, here's my thing. I'm going to hit the first match. We already said it. I keep jumping all the place. So I'm gonna try to stay focused. Mm-hmm. Drew and Priest. I'm gonna go with Damien for the win if they're smart, because that means you're building a rivalry between the two. If you're smart.
Have a really good match. Have Priest win it, and and they're probably gonna open the match, open the card.
That's fine.
Too.
That's fine. Who else is on it?
I'm gonna save that for later. Punk and Sami Zayn versus Seth and Braun.
Okay, good match. I don't have a problem with it. I think Sami's gonna turn heel tonight, but I mean tomorrow night.
I think that would be a bad idea.
I know you do, but I think it's gonna happen.
I
think he needs it.
I don't think so.
I think he needs it solely because Sami is very forgettable.
Well, Sami's been heel before.
I get it. I'm not saying he hasn't. Roman was a face before, and then he was a heel before. It doesn't matter. You have to find the thing that works for you.
All I'm gonna say though is that Sami.
Trinity was heel before. She didn't do a good job the last time.
I disagree on that, but Sami. Even when Sami was heel in the Bloodline, he had this likability to him that screamed babyface. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying,
So,
but it get me saying.
so like, and then on top of that, I feel like if you add Sammy to the equation, you're taking an ally away from Jay. Is Jay just gonna be Superman? He's gonna fight all these people? Like, what's going on?
But see, that's the thing. I believe that's how they're gonna get the title off of Jay. I think they're gonna see. They know this. Jay can't drop the belt clean right now. If they make Jay drop that belt clean,
He's dropped the belt clean before.
no, I'm not saying he hasn't, but then we've also said they disrespected Jay for years. If they have Jay the first time he drops that title, they have him drop it clean. What you've just done is you've knocked him out of the title picture forever. He has to lose it. And see, it's a good way if you're gonna have him drop it. Make Sammy take it off of. And not beat him, but make Sammy be the reason why he drops it.
And have him come back. There's another thing we were talking about with black wrestlers specifically, where they will drop the belt and then that's it. They're not even gonna attempt a rematch.
They don't even get them a return match alive.
Yeah. Let Jay, if Jay loses his belt, let him at least give him a rematch.
I'm going to tell you what would make Jay an even bigger star and make the company even more money. WWE, if you catch this, this is the perfect way to make Jay a mega star and grow your ratings even more. You know what I think they should do? Have him drop it to Logan. Listen, hear me out. Have him call Sami Zayn to have him drop it to Logan Paul tonight, which will shock everyone because everybody thinks this is a throwaway match, and I do too, right? But this will make Jay a superstar. You know what you do? Give him the Stone Cold effect. Monday night, have him take out Gunther, have him take out Seth and Braun tonight, and then have to have him go through what's the name again to get his title back on Monday. So he only dropped it for 2 days. I watched this, and I'm gonna tell you why I say this. You wasn't around watching wrestling at this time, but you probably saw this. Did you ever see the I Quit match between Stone Cold and Kane?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Who won that match, you know?
Stone Cold, right?
No, Stone Cold lost the match. They cheated. They had this voice of him saying, I quit, but he really hadn't quit, or something like that. No, it wasn't. That was Mick Foley. But he did lose.
I also saw that match.
That's not it. I'm
Great
sorry.
match.
I'm sorry, lying. This is what it was. It was a first blood match. And I remember it cheated, but he ended up drawing first blood. That was at the pay-per-view Sunday night. The next night, Stone Cold challenged him again. And this is when Vince used to set up like 80 different obstacles for him. So when I tell you, go back and watch the Raw where Stone Cold beat Kane the next night. 2 things happened that night. 1, Stone Cold's celebrity and his star was solidified at the top. And 2, Kane went from an unstoppable force and it fell all the way back down. That happened in one night because of that. Jay could become a fucking star because what it is, everybody
knock Logan down the card.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And what would happen is Logan's only here for just the run. He's not here to be a star. So what I would say, do with Logan Paul while doing that. Do you know the anger from the wrestling world for the next 48 hours if Jay dropped it, but then have Jay win it in an amazing feat on Monday night? Your ratings will go through the roof. What are you talking about?
I do know that if he drops it to Logan, the energy in the arena will immediately be sucked out.
Yeah, it would. That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying WWE needs a shot in the arm when it comes to that. But I'll hold that. What's next? What's your last? Oh, give me your last couple of matches so we can go close this one out. I don't want to go too long.
Well, for the CM Punk and Sami Zayn one, that's a toss up. I don't know who's gonna win that.
I'm gonna go with, and I'm gonna predict it's gonna be Braun and Seth.
Maybe. We basically talked about the Jey Uso one. I do think Jay is gonna retain.
I do too. I think he's gonna retain, but I think they should do what I just said. But they're gonna retain.
I saved the best for last.
Ooh.
John Cena versus Archer.
Is you think they're gonna make that the pay-per-view? I think they better make the main. Oh, they said Saturday Night Main Event. They better make this the main event.
I'm pretty sure they confirmed that Jay was main eventing.
I hope they better make him main event.
I'm pretty sure that they confirmed that Jay was main event.
But that should tell you also what they think of Jay, because you put his show on the first night of WrestleMania at the very first match for him to win his title, but then you turn around on a Saturday night special and you get him into the main event match over John Cena, but you made John Cena the star of the last one. No, that tells you don't care for Jay and you don't see him as being the star of your company. This is like a throwaway night for them. I can promise just a throwaway night.
But I was watching old TNA because Nay was a big TNA fan. Never really got into it, right? I was watching old Ron Killings on TNA.
Talking about R-Truth.
A star. A bona fide star. I watched one promo and I fell in love.
Mm-hmm. Was he a buffoon then?
No. He was someone, if they had brought that version of R-Truth, he would have been main champion for a bit.
Well, I'm say this because I want to say to it, but I'll let you finish.
I was gonna say he would have been the face of the company, but I don't.
I
Ron's
just
too dark for that.
I'll say this about R-Truth. I'll say this about the New Day, the Street Profits. I'm gonna go old school. D'Lo Brown, the Godfather. And what I'm gonna say about these guys, what you get is, and I feel bad for them, because they turn all these guys into buffoons. They make it to where you have to dance to be relevant as a black star. Believe you me. There, other than The Rock, I can't think of The Rock, Ahmed Johnson, Sheldon Benjamin, Bobby Lashley. Everybody else feeling like they just dancing buffoons, it seems like a lot of the time. And I just think the reason why that's a white man's what's the word I'm looking for here? I can't get out. Trying to say it's his thought process when it comes to black people. Just I cannot speak to that. Can I get this one word out? But their way of thinking about black men, they show it when they do this. They always want to make them dance and do all this stuff. Like even right now, you can tell when they try to go heel, they're very controlling of these guys' personas. Their heels never turn into real heels.
Yeah, because
they turn you into almost buffoon because they're doing it to Trinity a little bit now. They're making her sound crazy versus she can be crazy when she does things, but don't make her seem like she's insane. She's not insane. That's a stupid character to make on her. But anyway.
With the Prophets specifically,
disposition. That's what I was trying to say. God damn, I couldn't say disposition.
With the Prophets specifically, I don't really put them in the same camp as the New Day and stuff like that because they had the red solo cups and stuff like that, which I'm sad they got rid of that.
Yeah, that was their thing. That was Montez's thing. He'll come back with it.
Yeah, and they had like a little bit of dancing in their theme song and stuff like that. But they got the crowd rocking. They had their red solo cups. I never really saw them as buffoons.
No, not Street Profits. No.
The Prophets. The only problem with the Prophets is that because I was talking the other day, and you guys had this thing of wanting Montez to go solo, and I get it. Montez is a star, but I fear for Montez if he does go solo because I feel like that's just gonna again just knock him down the card. Well, at least when you have the Street Profits, you have the Street Profits.
But yeah,
they're going to be a main player in the tag division.
I get it, but this is the problem with that. Most people, like myself, I know most people would agree with me. If I'm a solo star, what you just basically said is that, well, they're not going to allow him to really be that dude. So if you want to be any special when it comes to this, you might want to stay with your partner. See, that's racism to me.
Yeah, it is.
So that to me says, but Montez's a star. And so for me, I would rather, there are lots of...
They just time out?
Hold on 1 second. No, she's still going. Hold on 1 second. What happened just then? It knocked him. Let me hear you. Can you say something? Yeah, we're still going.
Yeah, okay.
It's still going.
Okay.
I don't know what just happened just then. It knocked us. Something just happened, but it knocked us off. But I'll just say this: I've totally lost my spot. Hold on. That's just telling us we need to hurry and close out this episode.
Okay. I'm just gonna say. With Montez, the only way I could see WWE recognizing his stardom is if he leaves. If he leaves and reinvents himself somewhere else, that is the only way. But within WWE, he's never going to be the solo star that people want him to be.
I agree. I don't think he's going to be the star either there, unless he leaves and then comes back, and then they may make him a star. But
the Drew McIntyre, you know.
Yeah, because the way he's going about now, he's not going to be a star. He's not.
And then that's nothing against Montez. Montez is doing everything right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's
a good episode to start, boo, baby. I have to totally agree. I think that was a good one to start up. I don't know, because that screen was going too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, not this one. Not this one.
Yeah, that one over there.
Now the whole TV went off. I've never seen the TV shut off on its own.
And that one, well, that one wasn't on.
Did
But
that light flicker too?
yeah, it did. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Man, it's like they're in my room. I don't know. Maybe the lights flicker. I don't know. But it was a very good episode. Uh, hopefully we won't have those technical difficulties next time.
I have a certain passion for this thing.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm give you this. I'm shutting my mouth. This is Scott. I enjoyed the first episode with you. I want to keep it going. I'm gonna always give you the last word. You go and you close out the show.
For anybody watching that is black and that aspires to be a wrestler, know your worth. Know your worth. If you go somewhere big, and I get it, it's the WWE, it's the big bright lights, it's the millions of fans in the crowd and watching at home. I get it.
Right.
Know your worth. If you're not being treated the way that you should be treated, leave. If it's meant for you, they will come back. I promise.
Yeah, I agree. They always try to kill the star. You know what I'm saying? So
don't let them kill your light. Continue to shine. Go somewhere else if you need to, but make sure that you continue to know your worth, because you are valuable. And if you're black, 9 times out of 10, you're good at what you do.
yeah, I agree. And if you can't seem to make it work there, this is the mindset we need to do, is build our own. I would love to build our own wrestling. It'll be perfect. But we'll get into it. Matter of fact, one of the episodes coming up, I want to do that. I want to talk about what it takes, or what you think it would take to build I won't say an all black wrestling show, but I'll say one that takes the racial aspect out of it.
And just allows people to be stars.
Yeah,
anybody to be a star.
I would love that. But anyways, guys, I love this episode. On the next one, we'll see you guys in a couple of days, and we'll cover a recap of the show. All right, I'm Scott.
Destiny. Thank you for watching.
See you on the next one, guys. Peace.